Well, on the sidelines of the 13th Morningstar Investment Conference, my colleague Rachna spoke to veteran investor Mark Mobius, started by asking about his views on the rise in the US bond yields, the global situation, the geopolitical situation as well. Listen into what he had to say.
As long as these bonds at 5%, there's going to be a great sucking sound away from the stock market. So people have got to be ready for a correction along the way, because a lot of people will look at the market and say, hey, why should I go into stocks when I can get 5% for my money? However, I still believe that in the next 5 years, the Sensex will go up to 100,000 mark.
Right. When do you expect that to happen?
Within the next 5 years.
Next 5 years. Right. There's also increasing chatter about US debt levels that are rising and ultimately have become unsustainable. Is that something that concerns a global investor like you?
Not really, because the debt, as we all know, is payable by printing more money. The US government has the capability of printing. Now, what does that mean? It means inflation. And we've already seen the effects of the COVID money printing press going over time. And that resulted in high inflation. Then now, of course, the central banks try to control it by raising interest rates. But the reality is that inflation is with us and will continue to be with us, which is why it's so important to be invested in equities.
Right. The Fed fund rates recently hit 475 BPS. The last time we saw something close to it was 425 during 2007, 2008. Do you think there's going to be a repeat of that phenomenon, or will we pass through it?
Well, you know, it's now a little more complicated because you have so many other factors at work. The Middle East war, the war in Ukraine, tension in Asia. All of this creates activity, economic activity, higher oil prices. So all the combination of these factors means that you cannot see necessarily a repeat of what we saw before.
Right. Speaking about these conflicts in the Middle East, you also spoke about Asia tension. Do they concern you as a global investor again? How does it influence your decisions?
Of course, it influences us, and we're concerned about it. But you know, any kind of situation, you have winners and losers. For example, now you have the Israeli war. Some will not benefit, but others will. For example, if you look at the stocks of military armaments manufacturing, they're going up. They're benefiting from this war. Other stocks will go down, maybe because of higher oil prices or other reasons. So in each situation, you've got to look at what the impact will be on individual companies.
Right. You've always been very optimistic about Indian markets and
Yes.
India largely, and sort of even overweight. Has there been any change? Also, if you could take us through your India thesis.
No change. I'm still very bullish.
Last time when you were on CNBC, you said that you're looking to invest in hardware companies. Has there been any progress on that front?
There haven't been any coming to the market yet, so we're waiting.
Okay. We're also getting into state elections next week and general elections next year. What are your thoughts on that?
That's going to be really interesting, because I think the BJP probably is going to be the winner in this again, because the BJP and Modi have done a terrific job in modernizing. They're doing their best to modernize. You know, in some ways, I admire Modi. They're taking a tiger by the tail, because you have these different states in India trying to unify and keeping them together and keeping them moving forward is very, very difficult. Not easy.
All right, that's Mark Mobius, always why he's always bullish on India. And meanwhile, we had a couple of numbers at the bottom of your screen as well. Margin expansion coming in for Arvind Limited, as a result of which that stock's moved higher. Gillette, there was margin compression. The revenues grew by about 8%, but the EBITDA grew by just 1%. That explains why the stock is absolutely flat. A big mover is Arvind, and Gillette on the other side has seen a bit of a decline after a spike looking at the revenues. Take a short break. On the other side, Manisha Gupta joins in with all things commodities. Swapan Kataria, who is the CEO at Long Grown LNG, joins in.